I am somebody. I may be poor, but I am somebody.
Welcome to the Rainbow Push Saturday Morning Community Forum. This is our opportunity to share with you our week's work and to share with you some of the information that you won't get anywhere else. For example, our young oratorical student will talk about a woman in sports, Jackie Joyner Kersee, and give you some background on her. And then we have a whole panel of women that will talk about what it means to break into what has historically been a male-controlled, male-dominated industry. You'll hear from women on the playing field, playing basketball. You'll hear from women who are working in the corporate office. You'll hear from a woman who's a lawyer, a sports lawyer. And I mean, it's exciting because now our young women can see themselves on and off the field. You can see that our PUSH program, we've been pushing for equity, gender equity in sports, as well as ethnic diversity in sports. And so as you look at this, you will remember and recall how far we've come over the years. It was Jackie Robinson, who was on the board of PUSH, that really broke into the Major League Baseball. Reverend Jackson often says, baseball has been a great pastime, but it's even greater when everybody can play. And when you look at how we've been active in pushing to change some of the rules that excluded our players and kept them as sharecroppers in an industry where owners of the teams and owners of the stadium made millions of dollars. And so this is just one part of an ongoing sports initiative, and you'll be hearing more about that. I want to thank Reverend Joseph Bryant, our sports director, for all the work that he and his team do to bring this information to us. And then you're going to hear about an incident that is happening in the city of Chicago. I'm sure it's happening in a city near you or where you are, where you have these slum landlords, people who are not providing renters with appropriate living conditions. Well, Concordia, which is apartments in Chicago, in the 9th Ward in the city of Chicago. We have tenants who are living with roaches, with bed bugs, with rodents and other vermin in their apartments. The water is not clean, they have mold. We're going to change those conditions. Reverend Jackson, Bishop Tavis Grant, Cameron Barnes are there now meeting with residents, and we're bringing light on this darkness, as Dr. King did when he came to Chicago about slum housing conditions. We have a lot of things that we're going to cover, but I don't want you to turn that down. Don't move, because we have a lawyer who has been keeping us focused on voting rights, Attorney Barbara Unwine. She's going to bring us up to date what's happening with voter suppression all around the country. She is the guru, the person that's most knowledgeable in this area, and she's been fighting. She's been doing caravans all across the state. We are pushing for change, and if you keep with us and join with us, you too will push for change. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. We have a lot to cover. Don't turn that dial. Stay with us.
My name is Alina Coker, and I will be talking about Jackie Joyner Kersee. Jackie Joyner Kersee is an African-American track and field athlete, two-time Olympic gold medalist and world champion. She was born in East St. Louis, Illinois. As a high school athlete at East St. Louis Senior High School, she qualified for the finals in the long jump at the 1980 Olympic trials. Joyner Kersee attended UCLA, where she starred in both track and field and in women's basketball. In the 1984 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles, she won the silver medal in the heptathlon. She dominated the Olympic sport of heptathlon, which is a series of 6 demanding events. Joyner Kersee won the Olympic gold medal for the United States in 1988 and 1992 and set the world record. She was the first American woman to win Olympic gold in the long jump, leaping to an Olympic record of 7.40 meters. She earned a reputation as the world's best all-around female athlete.
I am producer and host of The Experience for 710 ESPN, where I am able to challenge ideas, the way people think and attack issues by using sports and opening up people's brains to another thought process. And I think this is very significant for us to share what we know and our knowledge to help the younger generation be strong. We all know that being in sport is a tremendous value. I know, like working in the workplace today, I know who has been in sports or team sports and who hasn't. And you could really tell that. And I love how sport is not just a building factor for health and fitness, but also a well-rounded human being as well.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Risha Brown. I am currently the Director of Community Relations and Youth Sports with the Los Angeles Sparks. I started off with this league, so I've been a part of the WNBA since its inception. As I played the first 7 years, I also played 10 years professionally, internationally in 5 different countries. I have had the honor of having relationships with some of the most incredible people, and I just really do thank the fact that I've been involved in sport. Once I retired, because I traveled so much, one of the things that I focused on was just making sure that I did the things that I love. And the things that I love are sport and helping people get to that next phase. So excited to have a sisterhood that embraces our excellence both on and off the court. And that's one of the things that I think is really important, because so often athletes, and in particular female athletes, and take it one step further, Black female athletes, are seen as physical beings from the shoulders down, not take into account the smarts and the intellect and the intelligence that takes place that's necessary to succeed on such a high level. And so the thing for me with a panel like this of such incredible women is that we get a chance to show that we play well, we think well, we look good, we are the total package. All this Black girl magic on this panel is really incredible, and I'm just really excited to be here. And I just know that it's important for the young ladies coming behind us to have a vision of what could happen, because so many platforms have been developed and open for us. And it's important that as we walk through the door, not only do we show up and show out, but we hold the door for the next young lady. So I'm very appreciative for the opportunity to be here with you guys, and looking forward to a great discussion.
I am Nakia Sanford, as you said. Currently, I run a financial services agency. I'm a financial advisor. I love what I do. I've been able to transition that skill that being an athlete taught me into starting a business and running a business and staying in business. And it is a male-dominated field, so I feel like I'm playing sports sometimes. But that's what I love about having been an athlete, is that I can walk in the room, and because of that, because of what being an athlete taught me, because I got to be around strong women like Rusha and my other basketball sisters and be able to be confident with who I was when I walked in a room, I've been able to make that transition. It's so important. We talk about those places where we want to be part of the change. We see a challenge. We want to make sure that we're part of the solution. And going into this field has allowed me to do that. And I see so many things that I did not know. Hallelujah. Thank you, Lord, for the progress, that being able to take those things, as Rusha said, you get through the door, you learn what you learn, you know what you know, and be able to bring people along with you. And I feel like this has been my lane, and my steps have been ordered into this industry for that specifically. And I'm very excited, Dr. Bryant, to be able to participate. I thought I was going to be traveling. I was like, I really don't want to miss this. But to be on a panel with the women that I see here, I had a little fangirl moment when I saw Dr. Smith. I was like, Coach Smith. I was like, oh my gosh, that's exciting. I appreciate the opportunity always to share my story and what I've been able to accomplish because I was an athlete.
Before I say a little bit about myself, I just want to thank these beautiful, phenomenal Black women for paving the way for someone like myself to literally come in and have the opportunities that I do have in sports. And it was your toiling, it was the things that you encountered. And so it's your history that allows me to be here before you today. So I don't take this lightly. I am truly honored for the opportunity to participate on today's conversation. And I look forward to just continuing on the journey with all of you and making strides for legacy and for our future generations. And like Dr. Bryant say, I'm Valeria Williams. I'm from Cottonport, Louisiana. I am a small town country girl currently living in New York City. And I work for the National Football League, performing policy compliance and rules administration in football operations under the Executive Vice President, Troy Vincent. And my work primarily centers around policy work that I guess enforces the compliance of on-field violations as it relates to players and the appeal hearing process, and just giving the players an opportunity to have a platform to be heard when they are issued a fine or a suspension, and then constantly working with my colleagues and team members to evaluate current policy, to update current policy, so that way it allows the game to be played and to be enjoyed. One of the things that I really love about being a woman in sports, being a Black woman in sports, is the process of how it has evolved. Opportunities to participate, even being recognized, has changed over the year. And we're not just in the boardrooms, we're not in front office, we're on the football fields, we're on the basketball courts, we're part owners, we're GMs, and even in esports, we're commissioners. So I think that just being a part of sports as a woman is such a pivotal moment right now, and such a dynamic moment. And it really has encouraged me to really just give back, which is why I founded my own nonprofit called Juvie Hearts, which works with girls who are incarcerated, who find themselves legally in the court system, whether it's through juvenile detention or even on the side of just being placed in the state with being adopted, or just finding themselves in a position that need resources. So I serve as a life coach and a mentor for those girls that are journeying through adulthood. So that's who I am. I enjoy the role I'm able to play because of these beautiful ladies on the call today.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. You talked about on the field. If you all don't mind, ladies and gentlemen who are part of this audience today, those of you who are participating with us in this Women's History Moment, Rainbow Push family, extended family, all of you that are viewing, it is really an honor today to include in this conversation and then to pause in this moment to pay homage and recognize a true trailblazer. On behalf of Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson and the Rainbow Push Coalition, it is my privilege to present a very special award to this woman as a part of my introduction of her. Allow me to take this moment now and let you know that Coach Colette V. Smith is receiving something special today. On behalf of Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson and the entire Rainbow Push Coalition, Rainbow Push Sports, we are honoring you today, beyond just having you as a participant on this panel, but we are presenting this Trailblazer Award to you, the first African-American female coach in the National Football League. In honor of Women's History Month, we salute you for your groundbreaking achievement and the amazing accomplishments of your stellar career. The things that she has done to make our world a better place are all worthy of recognition. But on this day, during our Women's History Month celebration, Rainbow Push Sports, Rainbow Push Coalition honors the phenomenal Coach Colette V. Smith. We give you a virtual hand of appreciation.
Thank you. Oh. Wow. Y'all got me all the way messed up over here now. Wow, thank you so much. Wow, I'm usually never stumped for words, but now I'm thinking, huh? So thank you. Thank you for that. You know, quite honestly, to be amongst my Black people and to be around Black sisters, these are queen sisters right here. And I don't get to see enough of us, you know, and that's always been a deficiency in my world, besides, you know, my grandma or, you know, the neighbor up the block that's strong that my mama talks to. Going away to an HBCU, I until then, I wasn't around powerful sisters. And so at some point you have to turn into one.
I admire you so much, and seeing you out there on the field, I imagine like, oh, what is she feeling? What's this experience for her? Like, oh my gosh, you know, it means so much to see you be in that position and know that our strength, that we can continue to do more. And I just stood like in front of the TV in awe of you, because I know it wasn't easy. Being in this industry is not easy. And I felt all the work that you have done to be there now and be such a role model for our young brothers and sisters, just to say, wow, amazing. It's wonderful.
I get to say wow because this wasn't a plan. You know, how could I have this plan as a girl, and then as a Black girl? I was never allowed to play football. So today, not right now today, but I'm 51 years old. And so when I was growing up, when my brother wanted to play football, he could go play with this organized team. I was the one that was told, no, you can't get on the bus. Colored folks drink from that fountain. You're not allowed to read. This is not your school. So I was in a position to think like that when I was a child. So all those stories you hear from your mom and your dad and your grandma about disparity came to fruition for me with a sport. Like, are you kidding me? So football got put on the back burner. I did not start playing professional football until I was 42 years old, right? So I hit the field as a 42-year-old women's pro football player. And that was because God said, okay, you're ready. And I don't think he meant I was ready physically. I was ready mentally. I had seen enough. I had been through enough. He knew I was a fighter. Like John Lewis, though, I only fight the good fight. You know, if you want me on your team, I'm gonna fight for you, right? And my team is us. My team is this panel right here. All of this is my team, forever my team. I ended up wearing a cape. I now was a superhero. Mm-hmm. My own magazine and my own comic book. I was a superhero. I didn't know who I was. And that strength that I felt, the love of self that I felt, needed to be shared with the Black youth, with my Black community. So I was there for a greater reason. God had a plan for me.
Right.
So all of this to come full circle is quite honestly amazing. And I mean, had I not done that, I wouldn't have met Valerie. I wouldn't have met Russia. I wouldn't have met LaFern. I wouldn't have met any of you women right now. So there's a destiny there. The destiny in me is greater than the storm around me.
But you mentioned your life had a purpose, a plan that was not yours, it was God's. And he brought you through something so that you could have a platform. You could be in a position to make women like myself believe that I can. And a lot of times we overlook it because we're so touched with what we're doing that we don't see the outside. But just know that I'm not a crybaby, I promise I'm not, but you have impacted so many women to watch you and your journey. And I think for each of us here right now, it just really makes a difference that we embrace this walk. I wanted to be and continue to want to be what I needed when I was a 12, 13, 14. I experienced so many different things, from my chocolate skin to this gap in between my teeth to being 6'2" and the skinniest thing around, and just being unsure of myself. But it's really important that we encourage the young ladies we work with that they are more than enough. No matter complexion you are, no matter what height you are, no matter your body type, you are exactly what God made you. And we have to see ourselves the way he sees us and not the way the world sees us. And it's always my journey to make sure that I give my whole story, not just the parts. When my father died, Ruchi was depressed and suicidal, like all of those things, because they have to understand life is not just like this, it's peaks and valleys. So you share the hard times even more so than the good times. So they know no matter where they are, they have a chance to make a decision to go in the right direction. No matter how many bad choices they've made, you can make a decision right now and turn everything around. So just allowing myself to be vulnerable and to share and be a voice for those who are not yet strong enough to speak, but always standing behind them, pushing them, I think is important. And always my 8-year-old, that little girl will not let you look over her. She will not let you say anything to her. And sometimes I want to be like, could you just be quiet? Sometimes you got to question everything, but I know it's a trait that will, empower her later. So, and it was just mentioned, Coach Smith said, in order to be that, you have to become it. And so I have to be it. So I have to be it as well.
I'm filled up right now. Like, this has been so fulfilling for me. You have no idea. As Black women, especially in the corporate culture, the business of sports, that's my area. I wasn't an athlete, I didn't play, but I'm on the business side of sports. We come in already with a disadvantage because of our upbringing, our culture, our Black cultures, our communities, where we come from. It can oftentimes maybe seem to others as we're disrupting the culture of the corporate setting, or we're disrupting how politics are usually run. But one of the things that I've realized in my role in football operations and having such a phenomenal leader like Troy Vincent Sr. is that I can be authentic in who I am and still be appreciated in the work that I have to do and still be sought after for the work that needs to be done. But in order for me to be able to fill those roles and wear the hat that I wear at the NFL, my identity, I am a woman of faith. My identity is found and rooted in Christ. And so that is how I'm able to work behind the scenes in such an area that impacts a game that nations, that people watch for a long amount of time, that generates billions of dollars. And it's not to be rooted in the game, not to be rooted in the colors, not to be rooted in the football field, but to be rooted in Christ, and to have my identity not be found in the outcome of things. Because let's be honest, the journey is a process, and is a process that must be submitted to, that requires confidence in myself, that requires confidence in the things that I've had to overcome. So that way, when I face obstacles on my journey, I'm able to push forward and believe in myself, like Coach Smith says, believe in myself, and to keep going so that way I can be sustained on the journey.
People will say to me when Rashia, you were talking about struggles that we've had. Like, I am a 5-time rape survivor. I'm a 3-time suicide survivor. Those are the only times that I was hospitalized. I attempted it more than 3 times. And God would not let me go because he had a greater purpose for me. I'm saying that because I've always had some fight, but then I got frustrated with the world around me. And I was thinking, like, are you kidding me? I can't be the only one with this idea. And it's not even a great idea to me. It's a common sense idea of be kind, of do your job, of read that book. You have an exam, then study. So for me, it's simple stuff that we're missing the mark on. So when I went into the NFL, it was simple stuff. I thought my mind was going to be blown when I went to the NFL. And I'm seeing these brothers practice, and I'm like, are you kidding me? This is all y'all got. Are you serious? Because I know as a women pro football player, we gave it everything we had. And we didn't get a check. We didn't get any kind of check. The only checks that we had were checks we were writing to play, okay? And we went there, like, I would take off my Louboutins and my Prada suit and put on a football helmet and my shoulder pads and my cleats and hit the field, come home at 1 a.m. and then have to get up at 6:30, 7 a.m. to go to work. So please, somebody tell me what you given. I left coaching in the NFL because I had a bigger purpose. I prayed to God five days a week, and I'll tell you why it was 5 days a week about this particular prayer. One day I was talking to my father and I said, Dad, I don't know what I'm going to do. And he goes, what are you talking about? I said, I gotta keep my promise. And in my heart, I want to hit the ground running with these kids. He goes, what are you saying? I said, I gotta start my own company. He goes, are you leaving the NFL? I said, I don't know. I don't know. And I walked into his office one day, the head coach, and I had my answer. It came out of my mouth. So now I got my own company.
Believe in you.
Believe in you. And so Believe in You Incorporated was started for everything that I begged and prayed God for, right? So I'm bringing it to fruition the best I can.
Praise God.
When you believe in yourself, the sky is the limit. Once you become fearless, you become limitless. And I had a fight in me my whole life, but I was never allowed to show it. Are you kidding me? I'm not gonna let any more kids not be allowed to show their fight. I'm gonna embrace, I'm gonna nurture, I'm gonna water it like a plant. Right? So there's a bigger purpose in all this. So when I told my dad that I was gonna start my company, my father, I won't say he was upset, but he was like, okay, you know what, you gotta do what's right. And I said, well, how many times have I been locked up fighting for the rights of Black folks? And my father said, oh, Jesus, I forgot about that. I'm like, I didn't forget. And I remember coming home one day after fighting for Blacks and women to get jobs in the construction industry. And my father would not pick me up from the jail. I was locked up in the Bronx. And he goes, I'm not coming to get you. He hung up the phone. So I was there for 4 days. Okay. And when I got home on my own, my dad looked at me, he was angry, and he says, you ain't Angela Davis. You ain't Malcolm X. You ain't Martin. What you doing, girl? Stop this. And I said, Dad, and neither was they until they were they. So there's a fight that we need to nurture for the next generation.
Yeah, we got to keep fighting. And the only time we lose is when we quit. So I just want to encourage every little girl, even these big girls, to continue to walk with purpose, know your passion, and do things in excellence.
2 days ago on social media, I posted a post to my 12-year-old self. And I'm just gonna read what I said because I'm shaking goosebumps from this. But I posted a picture of me when I was 12 years old, skinny, Jerry curl. Okay, you get the picture. But I said, I remember this little girl and I have so much to thank her for. It was tough growing up in your skin, but you chose to fight and not fail. Thank you for not giving up. Oh man, I'm gonna get teary-eyed, excuse me. Thank you for not giving up. Thank you for finding your beauty, even though the world tried to convince you otherwise. Thank you for getting rid of that Jerry curl. That was important. Thank you for keeping an open heart, even when people were determined to break it. Thank you for your determination. The world is full of quitters. Thank you for not being one of them. Thank you for choosing to live out loud every single day. I love you. And the reason I posted that is I think as women, especially as Black women, we give so much love to other people. We support so many other people, and we forget sometimes that we got to give that same love to ourselves. So that is what I preach and what I teach and what I tell young women all the time. You are the most important person in the world, because if you are whole, if you are healthy, if you are emotionally stable, then everybody around you will be also.
Know your worth. And once you have that vision of yourself, you keep it in front of you and keep it expandable. So when the no's come, because the no's will come, the doors will close, they will come more than you would imagine. That you can take that vision and you could make it plain and run with it. And when you run unapologetically.
I mean, I'm an emotional person. I'm passionate. I don't care. I don't care what somebody thinks anymore. I don't care. If I'm fighting, I'm crying. If I'm happy, I'm crying. This is who I am. I is what I is. There you go. So I write to myself quite often, and quite honestly, some of it is sometimes sad, you know. And I always end it with, "Get up, girl. Get up, girl. You're worthy. Get up, girl. You got this. Get up, girl. You are enough. Get up, girl. You're supposed to shine. Get up, girl. No one can do it like you. Nobody can do it like you. Get up, girl." Being Black in America is tough. We have been historically disadvantaged for years.
On behalf of our phenomenal leader, the legendary Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson, and our entire Rainbow Push family, Rainbow Push Sports, and to our entire family around the country, thank you. God bless you. And for all of you, keep hope alive. Take care.
Keep hope alive.
Attention high school seniors and college freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. If you are in need of financial assistance, Push for Excellence offers a variety of scholarships for which you may be eligible to apply. Whether it's the Jesse Jackson Fellows Toyota Scholarship, the Cirillo McSween New York Life Scholarship, or the Oralee Sanders Scholarship, Push for Excellence strives to offer something for everyone. Here are just a few of our scholarship recipients.
Hello everyone viewing, my name is Chidi Osakwe.
Dominique Davis.
Julian Jones.
China Mazum.
Miles Chairman.
Jalen Clark.
Marcus Anderson.
Jaden Reed.
Kari Young. It's Megan Chu and I'm a Cirillo McSween Scholar.
I want to take this opportunity to thank Reverend Jesse Jackson for all his support of my college education.
Thank you for all of Toyota for helping with Reverend Jackson with the scholarship as well.
I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you to Reverend Jesse Jackson for helping to make this scholarship opportunity possible for me.
As appreciative as I was before, I'm even more grateful now having received this scholarship.
Not only has it helped me out financially with paying for tuition, but it has also awarded me the opportunity to learn more about the Rainbow Push Coalition and their different initiatives in the African American community.
I'd like to say thank you to Reverend Jesse Jackson and the Rainbow Push Coalition for all the generosity and support that they've shown me throughout my undergraduate career and for the opportunity to pursue higher education.
For more information, please visit our website at www.pushexcel.org and click on the word scholarships. Thank you and keep hope alive.
Push Excel's goal is to inspire students to strive for excellence in education in spite of personal, family, and community challenges that they might experience. How do we do this? By advocating for educational policies that guarantee equal funding for all students without regard to race or economic standing. By engaging parents, students, and teachers in pursuing high-quality education and striving for educational excellence at every level. And by forging partnerships with community-based and public sector stakeholders in education. Now, Push Excel is a national model program with the purpose of connecting principals, parents, popular personalities, and students in a bond and to support students at every level on the educational ladder. Now, we want you to become a member of the Rainbow Push Coalition and Push Excel. Your annual membership can help us to change policies that impact students, colleges, and universities all around the country. So step up and sign up today. Membership is only $35, and if you're a student or a senior, $15. Just go to our website, rainbowpush.org, and push join to become a member or push donate to support the Push Excel program. You can also text the word Push Excel, that's PUSHEXCEL, to 41444 on your cell phone, and you can give us any amount that you feel comfortable giving or call us at 773-256-2775. Wherever you are, you can support us as we keep pushing for you. And remember to keep hope alive.
We hereby determine that capability group repair, restore, or replace that
which is necessary to remove the degrade and the garbage from in and around our apartment.
Mold, mice, and a lack of proper management. That's what residents at a low-income housing complex on the south side say they are enduring.
It's a story we first brought you last week. Now, Reverend Jesse Jackson is demanding answers from the New York-based management company.
In a pandemic, this is unacceptable.
Yes, yes.
This is unacceptable, yes. And we will not take it. You deserve better, you're going to get better, and we're going to fight for it.
Be heard. Reverend Jesse Jackson says he arranged to meet with management of Concordia Place Apartments today, but they didn't show up.
Right?
Speak. So instead, he met only with residents who showed Jackson and his Rainbow Push colleagues the mold and mice droppings in their units. We took these pictures today.
You see all the mold scars from here. But I wipe it down, it keeps coming back.
They put a bunch of drywall, it was a bunch of mold and the whole thing fell in. So they just redid it maybe like a month ago, and it's leaking again to the kitchen.
One way in, one way out. We got roaches, bed bugs, termites, black mold, people's ceiling falling in, the floor falling in. Our floor's lopsided, our refrigerator make noise. We had air conditioning, God knows wind. Lord, the air conditioning so loud, louder than the TV.
I feels like they don't care. They just patchwork up, come in, patchwork instead of fixing the problem.
We're out here today touring and meeting and greeting residents. We made several attempts to meet with management to have them thwarted by management alleging that they've been exposed to COVID. And quite frankly, they admitted they were afraid of the media. They did not want media attention on these residents living in mold, living in squalor, being intimidated, being ignored, and having their rent gouged at the tune of 60 to 70% of their income. This is immoral, it is unethical, and we believe it's illegal.
We first reported on the complex last week when we discovered the dumpsters here were for some reason hauled away, leaving the occupants of more than 200 apartments with nowhere to put their garbage bags for at least 3 days. The tenants receive federal rent assistance, but the complex is privately managed by a New York company called Capital Realty Group. After our story aired, management agreed to a meeting with Jackson today at his Rainbow Push headquarters.
But management was right outside our headquarters here and refused to come in because they're afraid to address the media.
They also were not available at the complex, but for the second straight week, someone who said they were security for the property asked us to leave as we documented the problems.
We don't need patchwork and half doing the job. We need the entire job to be completed.
Residents also sent us photos from the past couple years showing mice stuck to traps. They say management finally returned their dumpsters last week, but the rodent problems and mold remain.
The children have nowhere to play. No activities for children in the midst of a pandemic. We have had enough. You cannot get away with fighting the poor. We come to fight for the poor. And when we fight, we win. And when we win, it's because we fight. Yes. We want capital management to come and answer the cries of these people who are paying. I just met another woman who is paying 60% of her income. They are using intimidation means of making them turn over confidential information so they can track their income. What in the hell is that? They're tracking their income as if this is some type of minimum security boot camp.
Action.
Action today.
No one. We put out.
What we put out?
This area.
And Alderman. State rep.
State senator.
Mayor.
County commissioner.
Every
level of government.
Every level of
government. Come to our rescue.
Come to our rescue.
And you must not be afraid.
We will not be afraid.
Help is on the way.
Help is on the way.
Hope is alive.
Hope is alive. Hope is alive. Thank you, Jesse!
Everyone, good afternoon. It is a good afternoon because the COVID relief package has passed the Senate. Now, when I went on my Twitter at Barb73, what I said, the first thing I said on my Twitter was, thank Black voters. Then I said, thank Latino voters. Then I said, thank Navajo voters. But then I said, thank youth voters. Because the hidden story of 2020 is the power of the youth vote. Think about this. In 2020, youth voters turned out in record numbers. But what people don't know is that 73% of all eligible African-American youth voters voted in 2020. 73%. That's more than the national turnout average. Not only that, what people don't know is that in Georgia, of the entire electorate, young voters accounted for over 40% of all the voters who turned out. When you're talking about that record turnout in Georgia, young people did that. Young people. And when I spoke to the young voters, and I spoke to these amazing young advocates, and I would say, why did you turn out? Guess what they would tell me? They would say, I voted for Ahmaud Arbery, the young man who was killed in Brunswick, Georgia, in Glenn County by the 3 white vigilantes who didn't like his jogging in a white neighborhood. Everybody remember Run with Mod 2.323? That's the day of his death, and those were the miles that we were trying to run in his honor. I want everybody to understand that they knew his name. Then they would say, and I voted for Rayshard Brooks, the Black man who was killed by the Atlanta Police Department. Then they would say George Floyd. Then they would say Breonna Taylor. Then they would call all of these amazing names. I want people to be very clear that these youth voters knew what they were doing. Not only that, but think about this, everybody. When we started voting in 2020, in March, voter registration went into 0 negative digits. In April, negative digits. In May, negative digits. I'm saying we weren't registering people. Voter registration was down miserably. When did voter registration go up, everybody? It went up after the George Floyd protests. People were saying all kinds of stuff that were negative and just wrong about young people not voting, young people not carrying their share. They got out there and registered like crazy. They accounted for the majority of new registrants. And people get that, twisted because we don't tell the story correctly of what really happened. But more than that, they were our backbone. Because remember, they were saying to people, a whole lot of folks who normally would have staffed the polling places couldn't do it because of their age and their susceptibility to the virus. It was young people who stepped up. But more importantly, we had to do massive voter education. The story that's missing of 2020 is all the voter education that we did. Who taught people to vote early? We did. The fact that the majority of Americans voted early goes to our credit and it was young voters who were walking those streets and knocking on those doors. People really need to understand who did the canvassing this year. It was young voters, young people, and even people who couldn't vote. They were out there at 16 really urging people to vote because our churches were closed, our civic organizations were closed, the community centers were closed. We had to have some kind of contact because a lot of our people live in internet deserts. A lot of our people were not capable of being on the internet, didn't know how to get an absentee ballot. The fact that we were able to get millions of people who had never, ever heard of an absentee ballot, never heard of a mail-in ballot to vote is because of our push for young people to do their share and to be who they are, just great. You know that because people need to understand how powerful young voters are. And they were dominant in Georgia. They did all that canvassing. You know, we had telephone banks. When I say we, the Voter Justice Network, inspired by Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson, inspired by our leader, the amazing Daryl Jones. We have to understand that we did 562,000 postcards that we wrote and sent into Georgia. Beautiful postcards that people put on their walls. They were so gorgeous. We did over 500,000 calls into Georgia. And a lot of young people were there. You know, young people lead the way, and they were coming up with creative, you know, TikToks and doing all kind of creative work. We had a whole youth engagement committee that was fabulous. They had their own teletown halls. They did all kinds of amazing outreach. They were registering and turning out at 18 and showing people the way. So I don't want people to get it wrong. Now, when you think about Black women's history, how does this all connect? Well, let me show you some. Think about it. Only Judge, when she escaped from George Washington's household, she was their slave, their hand servant who waited on Martha Washington. When she escaped, when she found out she was going to be given as a gift to Martha Washington's daughter, and as a gift to her, when they knew that her husband, that is the granddaughter's husband, was a notorious leech. When she found out that was going to be her fate, she escaped from slavery. Martha Washington and George Washington would spend the next years, decades, begging her to come back to Mount Vernon. They would send bounty hunters, slave hunters, to try to catch her, but she never was caught, and she died at a ripe old age in her 70s, and she lived a good life, and she was interviewed, and she said, honey, you know, I know what freedom tastes like now. And you never can get me to turn back on freedom. So one lesson from her, because she was 23 when she escaped, is that young people were doing it. People talk about Harriet Tubman all the time. And we get it kind of wrong about Harriet, because Harriet was also a young woman. She was in her 20s and 30s when she was doing most of her amazing early work. She wasn't, you know, people look at those pictures of her. She wasn't 50, y'all. She wasn't 60. She was in her 20s. And if you look at the wanted poster for her, it says that she was wanted for, you know, for her escape, because they really didn't know that she was behind the Moses at that time. But what they said was that she was a beautiful woman, very pretty, petite, you know, very smart, quick-eyed, gorgeous eyes. That's how they described her. And so, you know, so much of her history has been tainted and wronged and not really spoken of well. And what we got to understand is that she had that long arc for our young people. You know, it's one thing for us to be activists when we're young, and that's beautiful, because, you know, I was an activist I think I started my activism at 15. But the good news is when you can be like Harriet and make it the long arc of your life, that you're able to stay in the fight, to fight for justice all the way through the season. So she was amazing. And I think people also forget, because people always talk about her in the bush and getting the, you know, folks to come and tell them, hey, you know, if you're not going to come with me, then you're not going anywhere else, pulling out her gun. But what people also don't know, she was the first woman to command troops in the United States. She commanded over 500 to 700 plus Black troops, Union troops, at the Comanche River raid, where they freed 1,200 plus Blacks who were enslaved as those troops fought and burned down plantations and urged the people to come on their gunboats to be taken down that river. That was her leadership. She wasn't some secondary person. She was in command of the entire operation. She was a spy, a nurse, all kinds of stuff, a botanist, you name it, a geographer, everything. She was amazing. And we all want to be that kind of a woman. The third person I want to talk about really quickly, and then I'll stop, is Ida B. Wells Barnett. Because Ida B. Wells Barnett, she walked those streets of Chicago. She took on white women suffragists. And when people last year were talking about the 100th anniversary of the women getting the vote, I was like, hello, correction time. Let's get this right. It would take Black women another 45 years, even though we were at the center of that fight, even though we had our social clubs and movements and leaders. And remember, they told Ida B. Wells Barnett to walk in the back of the marches because they didn't want to upset the good white men by seeing Black women at the front. And what did Ida B. Wells do, everybody? She went to the very front of the march and she marched. But also she writes about how when she was in Chicago, one of her hardest campaigns was talking with Black men about the right of Black women to vote. And she talks about how hard that was, how threatening it was, because people were not happy with her. People told her to leave town, get out of sight, stop that talk. She talks about what it was like to stand. So one thing, that's the last lesson for young people, because also, once again, we have somebody whose activism spanned many years, a lot of in her youth. But one thing I want everybody to remember about Ida B. Wells Barnett is that not only was she persistent, not only was she brilliant, not only did she fight, the lynching and go into towns and communities where she could have been lynched herself, documenting what had happened. But one thing we always have to learn about all three of those amazing women, they were unconventional. They didn't go with whatever the conventional wisdom was. They didn't do what was called safe. They were bold women. They took amazing chances. They cared deeply about their people, and they had a love of Black people. And they had an understanding of women and the unique roles of women, and they weren't going to allow anybody to put them in a box. They broke boundaries. They broke, you talk about first, my goodness, they broke every kind of record, and they did not receive the accolades in their lifetime that they deserved. Nobody was throwing money at Harriet Tubman. She died in poverty. Nobody was throwing money at so many of our beautiful women like Zora Neale Hurston, who died in poverty. We got to be very clear that they sacrificed and that they did this work regardless of outcome, because they were about what? Justice and righteousness. So as I conclude, ultimately, my goal always is to build permanent voting rights infrastructure. I'm not about the, playing the party game. I don't play the electoral game. I play the voting rights infrastructure so our communities are powerful and able to, exercise their power continuously and to make the demands. And if folks don't do what we want them to do, we kick them out, right? And when they do the right thing, we applaud them and reelect them. But I just think that we have to get that powerful and that we're making sure that our agendas are being met. So anyway, those are some of the things that I would add, to the discussion. And it's just what a pleasure, to work with young people. What a pleasure to be part of this movement. And any struggle that's been worth its salt, I just want to point out, any struggle that's ever been powerful and transformative has been intergenerational. And the problem is the old folks think they can kick the young folks out and vice versa. And we need each other in this fight. Thank you.
For 2021, we're excited to get more people engaged and involved in Rainbow Push, supporting the programs of Push for Excellence and the Citizenship Education Fund. Now, if you're interested in public policy and you want to help change the policies that impact those who are incarcerated, you can do so. If you're interested in impacting public policies that benefit education and businesses with social economic solutions, you can do that as well. You can become a policymaker by becoming a member of Rainbow Push right now. Now, if you believe in the scholarships that we've given to thousands of students each year, you can help us out. We've awarded more than $10 million in scholarships year to date. Now, you can help young people achieve a higher education by becoming a member of Rainbow Push right now for the annual fee of only $35. And if you're a student or a senior, it's only $15. You can help us make a difference in the lives of millions. Now, if you watch us every week, or if you listen to us on the radio, or if you're viewing on social media, we need you to become a member. And how do you become a member? It's simple. Visit us at rainbowpush.org and press join. Maybe you'd like to support the work of Push. If so, it's really simple. You can do so by texting the word PUSH, that's P-U-S-H, to 41444 on your cell phone, and you can give any amount that you feel comfortable giving, or you can call us at 773-256-2775 or go to rainbowpush.org and push donate. So whenever you want to support, you can do it from anywhere. So keep pushing, because we're going to keep pushing for you and keep hope alive.
Dr. Kim, I went to jail with a group of 7 students, July 17, 1960, almost 60 years ago. We never stopped moving. I lost a few of jail cells and death. We never stopped moving. I thought it was time to write some of it down so the older generation can learn how we did and what we did and how global it was. Whether speaking about Mandela in South Africa, India, Qatar, about Gandhi in India, here at home. This book tells the story, so please get it and give it to your friends. Read it, let's argue about it, let's discuss it.
Yep, so the book is Keeping Hope Alive, Sermons and Speeches of Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. It's quite a good collection. You know, we've got sermons and speeches from around the globe because you have made such a global impact, not just here in the U.S., but around the world.
Thank you for tuning in to our International Saturday morning broadcast. We need your support. Here are ways to give to Rainbow Push Coalition. Text PUSH, P-U-S-H, to 41444 to support the work of Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. and Rainbow Push Coalition. When you shop, Amazon gives. Visit Amazon Smile and select Push for Excellence as your charitable organization by starting your shopping at smile.amazon.com.
Get involved with the movement.
Somebody. I may be poor, but I am somebody.
Join the movement.
If you're not a member, become a member.
I am somebody.
Fighting the most important battles for freedom and justice for all.
You made us change. Oh, trying to bring closer. Join Rainbow Push. But you're not pushing me away.
Join the movement.